Let's take a trip on my magic banana. It's a flavorful extravaganza over clouds, over trees, over seas, over space and time. Start at the tip and move towards the stem. Soon we'll be out in the solar system, seeing stars we never dreamed we would ever see. Let's take a trip on my magic banana. Let's take a trip on my magic banana.
Are you Wilson?
What is up, Mr. Sam?
The app says we are going to the forum. Is that right?
Yes, Mr. Sam, we are going to see the Phish.
I understand.
Busy day today?
Kind of average. You?
No, work was normal. I just put up with it, though, so I could party tonight. I mean, I work in one universe, but party in another, you know what I'm saying?
Kind of, but not really. No.
I work at one of these big firms, a private equity shop. You know, one of those places that sort of owns half the world. It's actually kind of wild. People think it's just about money, but it's like a whole hidden universe, you know? And nobody really knows what's going on except for the guys pulling the strings. Same thing at a Phish show, but different universe, different guys, different strings.
Didn't Phish lose a lot of their money in the 90s to an investment banking scheme?
Oh, I don't know. That was before my time. Anyway, it's not the 90s anymore. We're talking about a different world now, one where private equity and index funds are running the show. Not just tinkering at the edges, but actually controlling enormous parts of the US economy. It's like the MoMA dance. They're calling the steps, and everyone else just follows. See, it used to be different. Private equity firms would buy a struggling company, turn it around, and sell it. You know, Kill Devil Falls, and they swoop in for the save. But now, they're not selling these companies back to the public. They're selling them to other private equity firms. They've created this closed system of financial maze that keeps the power contained within their own world. And each time they pass these companies around, they pull out more profit, cut more costs. But there's a price to all this. A heavy things kind of price. I mean, who's actually benefiting from this? It's not you or me. It's not the workers at these companies, and it's definitely not the communities where these businesses operate. We're talking about the connection to the public being severed in favor of a handful of powerful players calling all the shots. They're becoming more like an oligarchy. Yeah, I said it. And don't think this doesn't have consequences. When just a few people can decide the fate of thousands of workers, or even whole industries, they're essentially bending the axle of the market to their own interests. And don't think I'm immune to it. People see me, trust fund, private school, right? And they assume I've got it made. But the truth is, I'm just a cog in this giant faceless machine. I sit in meetings, push papers, watch decisions being made over PowerPoint slides, and it all feels hollow. I mean, yeah, my name's on the office door, but it's just a name, just a placeholder in this whole scheme. It's like no one even sees me. They see my father, maybe, or they see dollar signs, but me? I'm basically a ghost in a waste of chalk dust and high-end coffee beans. I'm telling you, it's all these dreams of power and control, but none of it's real. The people at the top, the ones who actually hold the strings, they wouldn't know me if I sat in their lap. It's like I'm just watching divided sky and wondering if there's anything on the other side. Take a step back and look at the big picture. 4 major index funds now hold 20, 25, sometimes 30% of the shares in the largest companies on the stock exchange. Think about that. Just 4 firms holding all these dreams in their hands, deciding who sits on the board, deciding policies, deciding direction. And what are they basing those decisions on? Efficiency? Profitability? Sure, but at what cost? Where's the responsibility for the waste they leave behind in communities they upend? They've got this unprecedented power, but with almost no oversight on how they use it. Most people don't even realize how much power they hold. They think of these funds as a bouncing around the room investment option, maybe a part of their retirement plan. But behind the scenes, these funds are using the collective voting power of their shares to push companies in whatever direction suits them. Remember when they replaced board members at Exxon? That wasn't driven by the public. That was index funds and private equity throwing their weight around. One day it's Exxon, and who knows who's next. They're playing split open and melt with American companies, and we're letting them do it in plain sight. But it goes even further than that. Look at private equity in healthcare. Hospitals, doctors' offices, nursing homes. They're buying up whole farmhouses in our communities. Now think about that. Healthcare isn't just another business where you can boost profit by cutting corners. These are people's lives. But private equity doesn't see that. It sees opportunity. It buys up a chain of hospitals, cuts staff, slashes budgets, and pockets the difference. Then, when things get tough, they just sell the whole thing off to the next fund down the line. It's a game of contact, but with people's lives on the line, and we can't see any of it. They're operating in total darkness. And here's what they don't want you to know. They're doing it with our money. That's right. The money that funds these operations comes from public pension funds. Teachers, firefighters, public workers, they're all invested in these funds through their pensions. And if private equity firms overreach or mismanage their portfolios, guess who has to cover those losses? You enjoy myself and your tax dollars. Taxpayers are ultimately on the hook if these pensions fail, but we're not allowed to see how they're investing. Imagine paying into a fund your entire life, hoping it'll secure your retirement, only to find out it got gambled away in a bad buyout deal with some lizards in suits. And that's the irony, right? It's all these regular people putting their trust into a system that's supposed to protect them. They're the ones building the foundation, but they're the last to know if it all starts crumbling. Meanwhile, these private equity guys like my dad, they're playing the market like it's some game of possum with zero stakes. They scoop up companies, get them to boost returns, and if it backfires, well, they're not the ones left high and dry. Nope, it's the taxpayers, the pensioners, the ones who don't even know the game's been rigged. And it's not like they're free to walk away from it. We need accountability, real demand here. But private equity is like stealing time from the faulty plan. They don't report their financials to anyone. Their performance, their risks, how they're using our money, all in the dark. It's not like public companies where at least you get quarterly earnings reports and disclosures. Private equity doesn't even have to disclose what companies it owns. You could be getting your healthcare, your groceries, even your TILA from the business owned by private equity, and you'd never know. And they've spent millions lobbying to keep it that way. They don't want the public looking at their books, and Congress has been all too happy to oblige. They've been running this scheme in broad daylight because they know they won't get checked. But this kind of secretive operation, it eats away at the very heart of capitalism. How is Divided Sky supposed to look on this and call it justice? Capitalism to work, there has to be transparency, trust. Otherwise, it just turns into a game where big dogs eat and the rest of us get tossed whatever scraps they feel like throwing. The sloth is watching from above, and we're just scrambling to keep up. And these funds, they don't just affect finance, they impact the environment. You don't think it's a coincidence that these corporations are burning through resources faster than ever? Water shortages, pollution, environmental cities left ravaged. When there's no oversight, no accountability, companies can pollute, exploit, and destroy without a second thought. And private equity? They're funding it, driving it, slave to the traffic light of profit margins. If we don't put rules in place, we're just setting ourselves up for the line that we're going to regret crossing. And look, it's not just some far-off problem happening in strange design factories or industrial parks you'll never see. It's right here, creeping into our communities, hitting the places we actually care about. Forests clear-cut for profit, farmland drained of water, whole ecosystems turned into waste so a handful of execs can cash out. And when the damage is done, they'll just pack up, move on, and leave the rest of us to deal with the wreckage. It's like they're treating the planet as one big Golgi apparatus, processing resources and spitting out profits with no thought of what they're leaving behind. So let me ask you this. Where does this all end? Do we just stand by, let a handful of financial titans hoard all the wealth while the rest of us fight over the mango song? Or do we finally say, enough is enough, pull back the curtain, and demand that these firms show us what they're doing with our money, our economy, our future? You want joy? I'll tell you where it comes from. Knowing that the money you're investing, the companies you support, aren't part of a rigged system. But right now, we're all just dancing in a cavern, blind to what's happening above us until we finally open our eyes and make a stand. Look, I'm not saying index funds and private equity can't do good. They can streamline operations, bring in capital, create jobs. But without oversight, they become a wolfman's brother, lurking in the background, taking more and more until there's nothing left. I'm saying we need to shine a light in here, let some sunlight in, like Brandeis said. Because in the end, if we don't, we're just handing over control of our economy to a few powerful entities and trusting they'll do the right thing. And I don't know about you, but I think free is something we're going to have to fight for.
Okay, we're near the forum. Anywhere in particular you want me to drop you off? They kind of give me a hassle at the rideshare lot here.
I'm supposed to pick up my ticket at the VIP entrance, so as close to that as possible. My dad's bank is one of the forum sponsors.
I know where that is. I can leave you just on the other side of security.
Thank you, Mr. Sam. Have a great night.
I'd appreciate a 5-star review in the app, please.
Okay, Mr. Sam, I'll leave you 10 stars. 5 for now and 5 for later. Don't forget to keep fighting the good fight.